Hello everyone, and welcome back to RuneScape. Today we're checking out the brand new Weapon Diversity and Bank Placeholders beta, which just came out. And it's an exciting one because obviously the bank rework is big news. We've all been looking forward to that for years. Even if it's not like the biggest deal to me, obviously there's going to be some things in there that do affect me positively. So let's go ahead and check out the new bank interface real quick. I'm kind of going into this blind in that, like, I know kind of what's new, but I'm not, like, rattling off a list of changes or anything, so I'm not going to be, like, the one and only source of information for this. Like, if you want to know everything, you're better off finding someone who's a bit more in-depth. But we can at least look at what is new. Obviously, first things first, this is a very different interface. It's very bright, maybe a little too bright, honestly, compared to the rest of the game. We can go ahead and unlock things, and that should let us, yes, you can do this. This is the big thing, obviously. If you could do stuff while the bank was open, this would be real huge, being able to see your bank and do all sorts of things. But still, you're no longer constrained to only making it taller, which is nice. But I don't think we need a bank quite this big for these purposes, so let's get it back down to a little bit more of a reasonable size there, and lock it back into place so that I don't accidentally slide it around. So yeah, like, we can customize tabs, which lets you do things like that. We can name it. It's named construction right now. We could name it melee 2H if we wanted to. I don't know why we would want to call it melee 2H, but, you know, there we go. My magic stuff tab is now my melee tab with a construction icon. Well organized indeed. Let's see, what else? I know we can swap the tabs around. There we go, there. I was looking for that. Yeah, so you can have them vertical now if you want. I'm not a fan of the vertical look, honestly. I prefer the top one. It's more natural. I mean, that's how web browsers are and stuff. I don't really see the need for use of horizontal space, especially with the resizable. Like, you don't gain much from doing it. Like, either way, you're losing space, right? Just in a different place. If your screen was stuck in a certain orientation and a certain window size, it might be beneficial, but you're not, so I don't really see it. It's more of a preference thing than like a game-changing type deal. So something else we can obviously do now is have a lot more of these here tabs. You can do that. Now, personally, I think that this is a bad idea, having them slide slowly. I think it should be more like action bars, where you press it and it loads a new set of tabs, which would let them have unlimited tabs, because with their slow sliding method, you can never really have too many tabs, because too many tabs would take, you know, months and months to scroll through, right? So I personally think the slow sliding is a lot of work for something that isn't really worth it. Like, I think this would be better, doing the system overall. That's how I would do it if I were them, but it's still like more tabs. You know, if your screen's big enough, you can fit them all in here without needing to scroll, and that's very useful. What else we got? We got filters. So filters, you can do a cleanup filter. It'll show you all your junk items and stuff that you have that you don't necessarily have to have, although it's not always beneficial to get rid of them. Like, some things have costs to replace. Some things, you know, you don't necessarily want to have to go into Diango every single time you want to wear an outfit that you use every day and things like that. Or if you want a teleport item, maybe not having to go into Maze Quest Caravan every time would be nice. Things like that. And then these are, of course, my junk collection items that I actually don't need but keep anyway. You can do members items, which is interesting. Now, that'd be good for clearing out your bank if you're going to lose membership. Free items, don't entirely know what use this has, but it might as well have it, you know? It doesn't hurt. Worn equipment, this is a very useful one. There's been plenty of times where I've, like, not recently, but where I've been looking for items to wear, maybe for like a screenshot or something, and it's just like, oh man, I'm gonna miss something good. This makes it real easy to just find what you can actually wear from your bank. I think this is probably the best filter that I can think of. Really, and tradable is good too, you know. If you're looking to clear out your bank of items to make money. Of course, it does have some less useful things like Pete's Candlestick. Sure, it's tradable, but you know, it's not grand exchangeable. Non-tradable, you know, the other end of the bargain there. It's items that you can't sell. Hooray! And then placeholders. We don't have any placeholders. Why? It's the bank placeholder update, and we don't have placeholders? What is this? So yeah, we take that, we get an empty slot. However, yes, that is the cake thing. They still don't have a dedicated icon for it, so it's just a cake. But now, if we take this, it'll leave a placeholder for the Mask of Broken Fingers. And when you put it back, it goes back in that spot instead of taking the empty slot like it would normally, which is very nice. Placeholders will be very good for keeping track of stuff, and they do work with presets as well. So like if you load a preset, it will leave all the items as a placeholder. So now if we go into placeholders, it'll have all that. I don't know, if you turn off this, it's kind of weird that you can't do that with presets open. Whatever, so if I do that, turn it off, and then load a different preset, will it do the thing? It will. Alright, right? Or did it? Is that the item I'm currently wearing? Yeah. So yeah, it does. It will still put presets when you use your, well, it will still put presets in placeholders, is what the words I'm looking for here, even if you have it turned off, which is what you want. You know, you don't want your presets to be constantly messing up the order of your bank. So that's a little peace of mind there. It would be nice if you could have, like, permanent presets versus temporary presets, so that you could have certain items that you always want there no matter what, even if this is toggled off. And then you maybe have to like right click and remove placeholder on those ones, but the rest of them then could be normal. But you know, this is still a big step up from what we had before. Obviously we have this here, all this stuff. You can type in whatever number you want and just auto withdraw that amount. Does it remember it? That's a good question. It does. So that's cool. Turn our filter off, see it all. It also loads a lot faster, you may notice. And of course they fixed this in the main game too, where you can, you know, withdraw stuff and deposit it back while the search is going on, and it doesn't lose it, but it functions in the beta as well, so that's cool stuff. There is also, I guess I haven't shown something related to the size, which we can try to do, but at this resolution you won't see much, which is just like more things pop in here. You see the taller it gets, and I believe even more things would pop in, like the Beast of Burden inventory would probably show up here, among other things, if you have enough vertical space. So that's how you can get rid of the whole preset issue, is if you make it that tall specifically. I don't know how tall that is, I don't know, 900 pixels or something, no idea. But it's a thing. I'll probably have to have this as my default bank size once the update hits, just because it is so much more useful to have that extra space. But, you know, looking at the bank is not all that exciting, really. It's a great quality of life improvement, but, like, you can only stare at someone messing around with their bank so much, really. So I think that's all we're going to do. I've probably missed some key features that people are really excited for. But the main thing for me is just, you know, slight usability increases there. So, this weapon diversity beta, they've added some new things. I know there's a way to get, like, specific gizmos from someone around here. I could not tell you who. I don't know if it's, like, inside the instance or something, or it's just one of the people around here. It's really quite confusing, honestly. I know there's people with, like, stores and stuff. We can go in an instance just to get some peace and quiet, I guess. I don't know if they got any stores inside here. Doesn't look like it. This is what happens when you kind of go into things without knowing what you're doing. But that's the fun of it, isn't it? I know we looked at the stores before, so I don't know. We can go trade this guy over here, I guess. Yeah. They've added more things. There's new weapons with new effects. We got a pterosaur maul. That's pretty cool. I haven't seen that. Yes, I would love to do that. So yeah, there we go. We have the new maul. Very nice. Pretty cool stuff. But yeah, so I guess I'll just kind of go over the list of things. First and foremost, I don't think we'll show them all. This is more of a talky episode than a actually doing things episode, after all. I think some of these are not new things, but are instead like changes to existing ones, but just to rattle them off. So, short swords will reduce your maximum hit damage by 1%, but increase your minimum hit damage by 3%. And it does stack for dual wielding. Rapiers will have a chance for your abilities to not incur a global cooldown on your next ability. It's 2% chance with one rapier, or 5% with two. Astas, I don't know if that's how you actually pronounce them, but they will let you use two-handed weapon abilities when you equip them, so that's a pretty interesting use for there, and I foresee us getting some high-level versions of those in the future that become important. Claws, let's see. With claws, when you have one in your main hand slot, 5% of damage given in a critical hit will be done as extra damage over time. I don't know if that's like... I guess it doesn't mean it takes 5% away. I mean, I guess it would have to be a 5% bonus, right? And then with double claws, it's a 10%. And that was the scimitar effect from the previous beta, I guess. That's what it says on this thing I'm reading. And then for scimitars, for every 5% missing health on your target, you have a 0.5% increased critical chance. And that's doubled if you're dual wielding. So basically at 5% health left on the target, you would have a plus 9.5% chance to critically strike. That makes scimitars a pretty fun weapon to use. I've always liked scimitars. They're always a fun weapon. So it's nice they have a nice sounding little boost there. For longswords, when you miss an attack, you get a 5% accuracy buff for 10 seconds. And that's really powerful in, you know, splashscape situations. Getting just a free 5% accuracy buff every time you miss. I do like the sounds of that. For battle axes, which I kind of hope battle axes someday get a resurgence, because I still remember the days of my dragon battle axe back in the old days. Everyone going "Rarg" all the time, because it was just one of the better specials just for general use, I guess. I don't know. It was just fun more than anything else. I don't know if it was actually good. But battle axes, they deal 0.5% more damage for every 2% adrenaline above 80%. But that's after adrenaline cost has been taken. So like if you use an ultimate, I guess you don't get the bonus because it counts after the ultimate drains. If both weapons are battle axes, it stacks to 1% every 2% adrenaline, which is kind of a confusing phrase to say, but nevertheless, that is what it is. Warhammer is another weapon that's kind of, well, never really been that important, but, you know, maybe with this it will be. Basic abilities and auto attacks will now hit all enemies around the target you're attacking. Yes, it is an area effect for all basic abilities and auto attacks, which sounds really big to me, honestly. I guess we'll find out. For one thing, we need good Warhammers. I don't know what the best Warhammer in the game is right now to tell you whether or not this is like an immediate buff or if we'll need future updates to add Warhammers, but you do have to be dual wielding them in order to get the effect. So no single-handed Warhammer and then something else you like in the other hand. You gotta have both. Alright, that's it for the melee things that are listed. Sadly, there is no whip effect. For some reason, they've decided that whips don't need an effect, so basically I think that means whips are kind of going to be dead content from now on, because the whip's special already sucks. Like, for general use, it doesn't work on monsters. So it's just like a generic tier 70 weapon with no special effect. Worse than basically any other tier 70 weapon now. And, you know, the better whips, you know, they at least have better special attacks, but they're still, like, not anything special. So it's very disappointing whips don't get something. I don't know what they would give it, you know, it could be something simple. But it'd be nice if they got something. Just a little thing. It doesn't even have to be that good, just something to make them stand out above every other single weapon having a boost. Oh well. So, anyway, moving on, let's go on to ranged now. So darts. Darts will deal 5% or 10% when dual wielding more damage to poisoned targets. So it's like poison already hurts, now you're getting even more hurt. It sounds like darts will definitely be more useful when combined with Cinderbane gloves. Just basically free extra damage constantly. Javelins. Javelins sound really hard to use. Basically, javelins will hit everything between you and your target for full damage. So, you know, if you're attacking something from long range and there's a bunch of little things in between you and it, you'll do a lot of damage. But, you know, keeping that set up as a thing will be tough. I imagine it's kind of a switchscape type thing where you'd, in situations where you are far away and stuff, you might switch to it. But I don't know realistically when that would be useful. Still, it's useful to at least have something interesting for them. And if there's nowhere that it's that useful now, there can always be in the future. Since, you know, they can build content around these weapons once they actually have the weapons in the game. And then moving on to magic. So for magic, staffs, they get a pretty good effect, which is that ultimate abilities can't miss. And when you cast an ultimate, you get a 5% accuracy boost for 20 full seconds, which is pretty good. As a person who almost exclusively uses staffs, because I'm a noob who likes free runes mostly, and also not having to deal with dual wielding unless necessary, Yeah, that sounds like something that I'd like. There's nothing that feels worse than missing an ultimate, you know, so having that not be a problem is nice. But obviously, I mean, still, wands are probably going to be better. With wands, you get an effect that has critical strikes reduce the cooldown of magic abilities by 1 second. So basically, you're just going to be firing off abilities a bit faster with wands. Combine that with orbs, where you get a 5% chance to save the runes spent on when your chosen spell effect occurs. So I assume that's going to be the spell effects that they talked about previously, with like air spells doing one thing, water spells doing another, or maybe even, I don't know if it applies to like, would healing with blood spells count, in which case it would have a 5% chance on every hit, because isn't that like a guaranteed thing? I don't know, I don't use ancient magics enough because of our newbie desert treasure status on this account to tell you. And we could go test it, but that is not really the point of this episode. And for one thing, it's a beta, so even if it didn't work now, it could be changed later, so the exact details are less important than the ideas. Anyway, the last thing to talk about in terms of new weapon stuff is books, which is a 10% multiplicative increased chance for your spell effects to occur. So basically you have the choice of either saving money or having better damage, or whatever else the spell effects do. Like the water one heals you, right? Yeah. And they're also, I just looked, they're making it where the normal spellbook spells spend runes when their effect happens, in order to be consistent with the ancient spellbook. So I assume what that means is, whenever you use abilities normally, you wouldn't use runes, but now if you use an ability and the effect activates, I guess it will use runes. I assume that's what that means. So yeah, that is all the new changes there. The only thing missing, obviously, is whips, which I'm still very annoyed at. But anyway, there is a little bit of a changelog. I don't know if there's much to it. They added the maul effect to the pterosaur maul, but obviously that's just like a minor bug, not like a major decision. Shield bows require less adrenaline to activate, but the cost remains unchanged. Basically, so you can have a threshold triggered at 40% and it costs 15%. And then spears, the boost for spears is 40% longer. I don't actually know what the spear boost is because it doesn't say here. The prayer bonus for maces was lowered, and throwing axes also have a 5% chance of binding your target for 3 seconds. And if the target's bind immune, it'll do a flat 10% more damage. And earth spells were slightly debuffed down to a damage boost of 10%. Basically, I just read a whole bunch of numbers, you know, it's not very exciting, you know? But this is the things that happens when we have updates like this. It can't be super exciting. I'm not gonna like hyper edit this thing where I'm like firing off all these abilities and doing stuff. That'd be a lot of work for very little reward, honestly. But I did want to check this out nonetheless, because this series is kind of a snapshot of RuneScape as it is, so it's important to keep track of the betas, see what's changed, what's different, because, you know, what's in this beta might be different than what's in the end. And I could always go back and watch my own video to see how things changed if I really wanted to. Yeah, I'm disappointed I haven't found where the person is that has the gizmos. I think it's a machine, actually. Didn't they say it was a machine? Oh, no, there it is. Gizmos. We can get some divine charges, more than I've ever had. Gizmo picker. Ah, so it's a fancy thing. This is pretty cool. They had a bug with this where they couldn't add it to the previous beta, but yeah, like this is a fun thing where you can just be like, oh, look at all this stuff. I want all these things. Can I just do that? No, gotta do that. Oh, what am I doing? There we go. There, we got a full one. How do I? Ah, we need this. Cool. So, can you get impossible combinations then? I would assume so. That'd be fun for testing. And then you just choose which gizmo you're putting it on there. Nice. Yeah, that's pretty fun to be able to do that. So now you can finally test Invention in this beta without it being a huge deal. I'm glad I found that before we left. And obviously there is the Max Me thing, which I don't think I showed in the last beta, so there we go. We have maxed. Pretty impressive, right? Gotta say, it's pretty overpowered that you can max in about 2 seconds in RuneScape nowadays. just gotta listen to the little jingles that play. Okay, yes, we get it. I've done all the things. But yeah, so that is the beta. I'm sure we'll be seeing these updates hopefully this year. I'm hoping maybe we'll get like a planned schedule for this with RuneFest on when these might be coming out. It kind of feels like, you know, if it's in a beta, like how much more work could there actually be? If it's good enough for us to test, it has to be coming out this year, right? Right, guys? Come on, let's do it. Anyway, yeah, I'll see you guys next time where we will actually be playing the game instead of just talking while a whole bunch of people test combat in the background. I'm sure that'll be fun. Probably do a quest of some kind because it has been a hot minute since we've done a quest. And we're at a nice solid 300 quest points, which I did forget to do the quest point dice thing on my treasure trail episode, so we will be doing that as well in the near future. My treasure trail episode this week might be delayed though because of the skill off event and also my wife's surgery, which I mentioned in the last episode. Those two things combined is kind of making it hard for me to actually get much done, including finalizing the preparations for that treasure trail episode. But it will come. Don't worry, I'm not going to skip a month. We will get an episode out, even if it's a little light on the treasure trail side. Yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye.